Welcome back to the Descendant, guys. In this video, we are going to do a comparison of the top two hand cannons in the game as of right now. We just received the update, so we have another hand cannon. I will be getting that and reviewing that here shortly. Well, as long as RNG is treating me right. But I'll be reviewing that one. I do have some ideas for it, theory crafting at the moment to make sure, or to try to make that weapon actually hit like a tank. So, with all that aside, today we are going to go ahead and review the other two hand cannons that have been dominating this game when it comes to, being the best hand cannon. It is the Nazeistras Devotion and the Perforator. So we're going to go ahead and do a 1v1 with these two weapons and see which one's the best. Is one better than the other, or are they equal? Anyways, if you want to figure out which one's better, hey, stay tuned to the chat, or stay tuned to the video, keep watching till the end, and make your decision. And I'll tell you what I think at the end. Anyways, real quick before we get started, I have a Discord server. I'll have the link in the description. If you guys want to be a part of my community, where it's just a bunch of gamers and we're hanging out, we're playing together, chit-chatting and voice chat, if that's something that you want to do. Ask questions, receive help, play other games, talk about other games. Just a community for gamers as a whole. If that's interesting to you, link will be in the description of my Discord server. Go ahead and join that, and let's get it popping. Alright, so we got the two hand cannons, the two daddy clapping number hand cannons. So we have the Nazeistras Devotion, as you see in my hand, and then we also have, not that, the Perforator. So let's go ahead and go over these. Alright, so really quick, we're gonna speed run this. So the unique ability, just in case somebody doesn't know, the Nazeistras Devotion unique ability, the only thing that we're worried about for this unique ability is that we get, once you attack an enemy with a weak point, you're gonna go ahead and apply Devotion's Mark on them. And Devotion's Mark is going to go ahead and reduce the amount of defense that target has. The defense ranges from 10% to 30%, depending on the level of the unique ability for your hand cannon. And then for our Perforator, essentially you have a percentage chance, depending on the target that you're hitting, to do bonus damage to their shields on top of your damage for your weapon. So this is why this is one of the talked about weapons when it comes to doing Colossus fights, because you have even though Colossus, as you see, shield damage trigger rate for Colossus is at 1.5%. If you hit that, you're gonna go ahead and do a really nice amount of damage. So that's pretty much the Perforator. It's meant to really delete shields. That's what its unique ability is for. So I want to go ahead and go over the base stats of these two weapons here before we get into anything. So the Nazeistras Devotion. Firearm attack is 38,461 with a 150 fire rate, 8-round magazine. Pretty solid for a single shot impact round weapon. Reload time 1.5 seconds. A critical hit rate of 45% base. A firearm critical hit damage of a 2.25 times multiplier. That is amazing. Now your weak point damage is a 1.7 times multiplier. That's still pretty good. Also, we'll pay attention to accuracy here because this is going to play a part. So your hip fire accuracy is 92.2%. Or, well, 92.22 out of like 100. So, like, if you have 100% accuracy, you get it. And then your aim shot accuracy is a 94.44. So, there's that. And that's the Nazeistras Devotion. Let's go ahead and look at the Perforator now. So, the Perforator's base damage is 67,092 with a 99 fire rate and a 6-round magazine. So, okay, let's finish. So, we have a 1.6 second reload time. We have a 20% critical hit rate and a 2 times critical hit damage multiplier. Your weak point damage is a 2.25 times, and your hip fire accuracy is a 55.55, and your aim shot accuracy is a 94.44. So let's go ahead and compare these two weapons. So as you see, the Perforator has higher damage. So we have a 67,000 base, while the Nazeistras Devotion has a 38,000 base. So we're almost double the damage. The Perforator has a fire rate of 99, while the Nazeistras Devotion has a fire rate of 150. It is substantially slower. Your magazine size is 6 on the Perforator, while the magazine size on the Nazeistras Devotion is 8. Your critical hit rate base is only a 20% on the Perforator, and a 2 times damage multiplier, while the critical hit rate on your Nazeistras Devotion is 45% base and 2.25 times critical hit damage multiplier. Now, the Nazeistras Devotion has a lower weak point damage multiplier at a 1.7, while the Perforator has a weak point damage of 2.25. So there's that. Now the hip fire accuracy on the Perforator is a lot worse, but other than that, the aim shot accuracy on them are about the same. So this is where it comes in, right? So as you might think, some will say because the Perforator has a higher base damage by almost double, that it makes the hand cannon a lot better. But that isn't necessarily the case, because the fire rate is a little bit lower and the magazine size is lower. So, you know, I wouldn't really say that your DPS is a lot slower, because, all right, look. That's the Perforator. That's the fire rate of the Perforator. Now let's look at the fire rate of the Nazeistras. Nazeistras Devotion shoots considerably faster, and it also has 2 extra rounds in the clip. So, what are these 2 weapons built for? Well, I do believe that the Nazeistras Devotion is essentially built for team-based play with high crit chance and crit damage, so you can still hit big enough numbers, but also get that damage reduction, not just for you, but for the whole team, the whole squad that you're playing with. This also can be really good in solo play, especially because the armor reduction is just a flat armor reduction. Obviously, if you reduce their armor by, as you see, 10 to 30%, you're going to do more damage. And this is a crit weapon, and we know crits hit like absolute tanks in this game. So, there's that. The Perforator is more so of a shield-destroying weapon. So let's say you're fighting an enemy that has a really, really large shield health pool, but has pretty low health. You would take the Perforator over the Nazeistras Devotion just because of its unique ability, which is meant for taking out shields. But let's say you're fighting somebody who doesn't have any shields. You would want to take the Nazeistras Devotion over the Perforator, because the Perforator's unique ability isn't going to do absolute crap for you. But the Nazeistras Devotion in every single scenario will always give you that armor reduction or that defense reduction. So Nazeistras Devotion is more of a versatile weapon, while the Perforator is, to get max potential out of it, it's meant for enemies with shields and or like Colossus fights, just because of that maximum damage you can get for free for doing shield damage. So there's that. Now, when it comes to which one is actually better, it really comes down to personal preference. So do you want something that has slightly lower damage, but also has more rounds and can shoot faster? Or do you want something that has higher damage, but less rounds and shoots slower? Anyways, so I want to go ahead and show you the build that we have for both of these weapons. And I'll show you why we do the build that we do. Well, actually, yeah, I'll show you why. And then we're going to go ahead and see the damage difference, right? So now this isn't the fullest compare, this isn't the fairest comparison, just simply due to the fact that my fanaticism unique ability on my Nazeistras Devotion is upgraded by 1. So we are, instead of getting 10% defense down on enemies, we're getting 15. So it isn't the fairest, but it's okay. It's not like this one's maxed out and this one's not. So anyways, let's go over the build. So we have action and reaction, and we have rifling reinforcement. Raw damage increases. We have better insight for critical hit rate. We have better concentration alongside concentration priority for critical hit damage. We have weak point sight right here for weak point damage. We also have aiming for some more weak point damage, but negative accuracy. We also have weak point expansion on for some more weak point damage. And then to compensate for aiming, we put on aiming compensation just to make sure that our accuracy is at 100 instead of at 75, I think it drops to. So yeah, this is the build that we're running. And we're doing this for both of them. Both these builds have the exact same things on. Now, let me tell you something. You might think, which I explained it in the other video that I did, you might think that, okay, well, the Nazeistras Devotion has more critical hit chance and critical hit damage multipliers. So why would you use weak point expansion when you could use something like whatever the name of this mod is, or you could use something like edging shot? Well, here's the thing: edging shots going to severely reduce your defense or your DPS overall, just due to the simple fact that you're shutting down your firearm attack and you're losing out on weak point damage. When you're using impact rounds, your main focus is to get weak point hits, because that's going to give you the highest damage multipliers out of all other hits in the game. So, if we already have a 4.135 times multiplier with a 60% critical hit chance and a 5.355 times weak point damage, the multipliers are a lot higher, which will net more damage. If I take out weak point expansion and put in an edging shot, I'm only going to be able to do a consistent amount of consistent damage of like 400,000. But with this on, I'm doing more damage, and I'll show you that in just a second. So that's why we're doing that for the Nazeistras Devotion. Now, obviously, we know the Perforator, you want weak point on absolutely everything, because that's your goal, is to always hit a weak point. So as you see, our weak point damage multiplier is a 7.08 times multiplier. Pretty juicy, with a 27% critical hit rate and a 3.676 times critical hit damage. Now, I do want to tell you that the Perforator has actually pretty horrible critical hit chance. A 20% critical hit chance is good on automatic weapons, but it is not good on single shot weapons. Because the Perforator has 6 rounds in the magazine with a 99 fire rate, a 27% critical hit chance is really, really low. So you won't be hitting too much crits with the Perforator unless you use like Enzo or Valby or somebody that increases critical hit chance. So if you're not using them and using their particular their mods dedicated for that, you won't hit too many crits with the Perforator. So that's why, to make up for that, we are jacking up as much weak point damage as we possibly can. So let's go ahead and see the damage now. So we're going to be testing out first with the Nazeistras Devotion, and I want to show you what the damage is looking like. So we have 846,000 damage and then a 520 or 538. So if you want to know why is it that I'm hitting 500,000 and then 880,000, well, the 500,000 is just the weapon plus its armor reduction unique ability and hitting a weak point crit. The 800,000 is when this weak point expansion mod is active. So every 5 seconds you hit a weak point, it's gonna give you plus 140% weak point damage. So that's why we're gonna get every 5 seconds when you hit a weak point, you're gonna get that. Now the good thing is, it's not like every 5 seconds when you shoot you have a chance. No, it's every 5 seconds. Well, it's a 5-second cooldown, but every time after that 5-second cooldown's up, guaranteed when you hit a weak point you'll get that bonus damage. So it is really nice, especially because we're going for weak points all the time with this weapon anyways. It's pretty good. So now let's go ahead and look at the Perforator. My bad. All right, so here's the Perforator. You got that's not a crit. That's not a crit. That's okay. Yep. Okay, so really quick. Same situation with the Nazeistras Devotion. That weak point expansion is what's increasing the damage. As you see, it's a 200-something thousand with a non-crit and a 455,000 non-crit weak point expansion activated. So if we could ever hit a crit, a 1.85 million damage crit. And a 1.1 million damage crit. So the 1.1 million damage crit was just the weapon in and of itself, alongside with, you know, its crit increases and weak point damage increase. Now the 1.8 million damage crit was because we had everything for the weapon, but also we had weak point expansion activated. So the Perforator can hit absolutely brutal numbers. Can. Alright, so we slapped on Enzo, and remember how I said you don't really need to run edging shot. All you gotta do is get yourself a character that go ahead and supplies you with critical hit chance. You can use Valby, you could use Blair, you could use Enzo. There's multiple characters that give you critical hit chance for firearm weapons. So just go ahead and get yourself one. Now with my Enzo, I don't have him built out, haven't farmed, I haven't grinded or anything, but so what we're gonna go ahead and do is use his fourth ability. His fourth ability is gonna go ahead and give you 20% firearm attack, 20% critical hit rate increase, and a 10% plus reload time modifier. All I have on here is a bunch of stuff to go ahead and just give me duration. That's why those are on there. And let's go ahead and see. So because the Perforator has a abysmally low critical hit chance, but has really good weak point damage, you want to boost that up with a character buff. So let's put this on and see what we're doing now. So as you see, our base damage is a lot higher. We hit a 2 million crit with this just because of that, but also we're hitting a little bit more crits frequently just because we're getting that slight bonus. Now I want to show you what you're getting. So remember, we are at a 27% critical hit chance, so now we put that buff activated, so let's go ahead and look. The Perforator, now we are at a 31% critical hit chance. Obviously, if you build him right, like the crit builds that you see, you can get a lot higher than this, which you can use Enzo in a boss fight if you want to use the Perforator. So now let's say you wanted to do that with the Nazeistras Devotion. Obviously, you're going to hit really big, you're going to hit crits practically all the time. And we'll be hitting we'll be hitting upwards of 900,000 crits, close to 1 million damage crits. See that, 972,000. So it's pretty decent, pretty nice. So let me show you what the crit increase is. So once we have the ability active, our critical increase on the Nazeistras Devotion goes from 74.52%. So we're gonna always hit a crit, and we got a little bit extra damage because of him. Yeah, I missed all them shots, but it don't even matter. So that's that. So there you go. Me personally, I would rather use Blair so I can get weak point damage, critical hit rate, critical hit damage, and raw damage. But you know, hey, backdraft Blair, shout out. But yeah, so that's the Nazeistras Devotion against the Perforator. So they're both a really great impact round hand cannons. They're both amazing. It's really just comes up to personal preference. Which one do you like more? Would you like higher fire rate, more crit chance, and more rounds per magazine? Or do you want lower fire rate, lower rounds per magazine, bigger numbers if you hit a crit, but it has lower critical hit chance? So you're not gonna hit a crit as often. So it's really up to you, right? Like I said earlier, Perforators seem to be more so for like Colossus fighting or enemies with shields, but the Nazeistras Devotion can be used everywhere. Now, personally, my personal preference here is I would stick with the Nazeistras Devotion 10 times out of 10. I really, really enjoy this weapon. The fire rate is amazing. The rounds per magazine is beautiful. Applying devotions marked to help out, you know, anybody else that I'm playing with, just so they can squeeze out a little bit extra damage, which in the long run, doing Colossus fights and stuff like that, you'll get whoever you're playing with is going to get more damage because of this. So, you know, you can really shorten down run times on Colossus fights or even dungeon bosses or just whatever it may be. So personally, I would prefer the Nazeistras Devotion over the Perforator, but that's up to you. Does the Perforator hit way harder? Yes. Almost double the damage. But does it have really lackluster crit chance? Yes. So there's a give and take with it. You can hit a crit that'll absolutely just delete, but how likely are you to hit the crit? Like the Nazeistras Devotion, you'll hit some crits. You may not always one-shot stuff because the raw damage is an absolute absurd, but you're definitely not going to struggle with much of anything with the Nazeistras Devotion. So that's the comparison of these two weapons. Hey, let me know in the comment section, which weapon do you prefer? Which one have you been grinding out? Which one do you think is actually better hands down? Do you think they're equal? Or do you think one is just dominates the other? I would love to actually hear your thoughts in the comment section, and tell me, how would you build it? Because the way that I built it is for maximum damage, in my personal opinion. Obviously, I'm missing a slot, but that'll be adjusted. Well, how would you build this? Have you tested out my build? What do you think about my build? I'm asking like 21 questions. We're 50 Cent over here. So anyways, that's the video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this comparison video, hey, please drop a comment. I would really appreciate if you guys comment on the video. It helps out to share this or to push this video, my videos out to other people, so that way they can also come here, learn a few things, and it can help me grow. Everybody subscribes. I'm almost at 500 subscribers. So that's freaking awesome. So subscribe to the channel. Join my Discord if you guys want to. We can play together if you want to play with me. Not like that. But if you want to play the game together, we could do that. If you want to play the game with other people in the community, you could do that. If you just have questions, just ask. If you know what I mean? So we have a community set in the Discord. Go ahead and join that. I would love to see you guys there. Can't wait to see you there. I'm expecting to see you guys there. And yeah, so that's going to be it for the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and join the Discord. Until next time.